Alrighty, we're gonna get started. It's nice to be in person again. It's obviously very interesting though, but yeah, I'm here to talk about how we can use PLG to stop diluting our product visions. This talk is really kind of aimed at a bunch of experiences that I've had in product management at different product-led growth organizations, from SMB to enterprise, from startups to mature orgs. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. Yeah, so a quick agenda. We're just going to kind of go through a bit of an imaginary scenario and put ourselves in the shoes of a founder and a product manager. And then we're going to talk about 5 ways I think that we can all win our product vision back. And then we'll end off with a summary. So, hi, I'm Partho. I'm the Senior Director of Product Growth at HootSuite. HootSuite's a leading B2B SaaS platform for social media management. Previous to HootSuite, I was a company named Unbounce. Unbounce is a leading landing page builder. You may know us as the landing page builder. We're very much a PLG org. In fact, for the first 7 or 8 years, we didn't have a sales team. So that was kind of fun. And most recently as well, hard to see that on the bottom, I was a company named Banana Tag. We were acquired earlier this year and really acquired for our PLG motion that we had in the enterprise space, really focusing on Fortune 1000. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. So please do connect with me, either at Product Partho or /Product Partho. Have to brand myself somehow. And so, yeah, let's dive right in. So I want to start by, let's imagine that one of us has this amazing idea. We think this idea, is going to kill it in whatever hypothetical space we're talking about. And so you decide, you know what, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go and pursue this. I think it's really going to change the way that we do things. And, you're probably working your ass off tirelessly. If you're doing it during the pandemic, you probably have your little ones beside you, which is pretty awesome. And hopefully at one point you get to this revered moment of traction, right? You finally have some market fit, you get customers in the pipeline, and now you got to scale. You got to scale fast, and so maybe you have to hire more developers to keep customers happy, hire a sales team to really kind of grow that base, and at one point you might have to raise a round or get some kind of financing, and hopefully at some point you get these super women and super men that you've heard about for a long time called product managers. Awesome. They come in, they kick ass, they help you grow, they help you scale, and you're trying to figure out, okay, now what if we get a big logo that comes to you and says, you know what, we'd love to buy into your product. If you maybe tweak this thing over here, or maybe just build this one feature for us custom, we'll buy into your solution. But what do you do next? That's kind of the big question, I think, for a lot of startups and organizations. And even if you're not in a startup, the decision that was made way back then is probably impacting you now, even if you don't know it. And what ended up happening is probably you diluted a little bit of that product vision that founder had at that start. And little by little, it might go away and chip away, which obviously also means that your product strategy has eroded a little bit, your product roadmap, your product backlog, and so on and so forth. So we're going to talk about how we can take all that back. Now, a few elephants in the room. Number one, in this talk, I am not saying that we should not be listening to our customers. Absolutely not. Our jobs as PMs are to listen to our customers, and they are the essence of our product and our product vision. But our job is not to build the solutions that our customers say out loud. Our job is to understand the problem space and then to build something for the whole. And Seth Godin has a bunch of great quotes around this. Things like, don't find customers for your products, find products for your customers. Or if you, wait until the market is telling you something, it's probably too late. The best one, of course, that we all probably know is Henry Ford's. If I'd asked my customers what they wanted, they probably would have said a faster horse. Turns out he probably didn't even say that, but we'll keep to it anyways. All this is just trying to say that we as product managers need to be a lot more product-led now in this day and age. And so the second thing I'll just call out is I'm also not condoning enterprise sales. It may sound like that. No, I think it's very obviously beneficial to have that. But you have to be strategic on when you bring in enterprise sales. Be sure that you're ready for it. Ensure that you have a slice of your roadmap and budget ready for that segment, because they're going to take some of it. And of course, the most important piece is be wary of building a feature factory. Don't just be building anything you can to ramp up that revenue. Make decisions. Saying no is hard. We all know that. So let's talk about 5 ways to win back your product vision. Well, first of all, understand your product vision. And, this obviously sounds very easy, but unfortunately, for many of us, we probably can't even recite our product vision, which is unfortunately a little sad. But most PMs I talk to, I ask this question: what's your product vision? And they really can't answer it. They'll give me an elevator pitch of their portfolio or what they work on, a set of features, but not their vision. And of course, as you gain market fit, it's really, really critical because your customers are going to depict your vision. They want you to. They want you to focus on them. And you as a PM want to do that. But the problem is, we then as product managers have this gap. And a gap that we don't often talk about, especially at any sized org, but definitely at startups and mid-sized companies. It's really the customer's perception of your product and its future, and really what your founders or execs want and their vision. That's a gap that the product manager has to solve. And I think it's important that you start consolidating that, start talking about it, start figuring out your customers' needs and align it with your founders' wants and get somewhere in the middle, and then build a vision on it. And of course, if you come out with a bunch of different product visions, you've gone awry. Make sure that you have one vision for your product or your product area. If you have multiple product lines, that's different, of course. But yeah, that's really, really important. And of course, if you're here and you're listening to all this and you're like, I don't have a product vision, put in the work, create one. Product visions are really important. They may sound fluffy, but they help with decision making and they help with alignment. And of course, they help with figuring out where you're going to win in the market. You might have to do this with your founding group. You may have to do this with exec team, whoever it is, build one. So at Banana Tag, it took me 4 to 6 months to work with my founders to figure out 7 simple words. And I know it's a lot of time for not that much work, or what at least seems not much that work. It was become the one-stop shop for all internal communication. We were an internal communication SaaS platform focused on Fortune 1000 orgs. And we found that we were communicating this idea all over the place. Like every moment we could, we talked about it, to the point that we got feedback from our employees that they were getting bored of hearing it, which didn't make me feel very happy, but that is what it is. The big thing that we did thereafter is made sure every OKR and every major product decision umbrellaed up to that vision. And a really, piece that I adored to my founders is that they were totally okay when we said that we're never going to build a single feature for one customer. And there was maybe one time where we prioritized something higher, but only because it worked for the whole and not that one person. And that's not easy to do, especially when you're an enterprise. We were actually acquired less than a year later after we made that. And some of the documents that we had, we tied them to Gartner documents, to Forrester documents, anywhere we can to say this is where our vision is and this is where the market's going. Here's what we're going to win. So number 2, focus on building a product that sells itself and, I should say, expands itself. Really what this is all about, I have a bit of a best friend here that I've used in many companies, which is the CAC to LTV ratio. And CAC to LTV ratio, for those that don't know and don't use it, because I find a lot of product managers don't use this ratio, is really just the lifetime value, which is the total revenue of your customer's relationship with you, divided by the customer acquisition cost, all of your sales and marketing spend. And that ratio hopefully will end up somewhere in the 3-to-1 range, which is very healthy. 4-to-1 range is kind of what most SaaS businesses of any kind is trying to get to. Anything above that probably means that you're leaving room to grow by spending more on sales and marketing. And of course, 1-to-1 means that you're going to lose money every customer you get. And now the real thing around this for product managers is we get to use this ratio and look at really interesting segments like our personas, our jobs to be done, markets and industries, and see where should we be investing and where should we be divesting? And also, where should we be putting some more PLG love? Maybe there's a segment that's really, valuable, but the CAC to LTV is very bad. Maybe we should put some self-serve into that and see what we can do. So I really love using that tool. And of course, this then lets us focus on our product vision and not closing deals. And bucketing your roadmap is really important if you want to own that roadmap. So figuring out what visionary features you're going to build, and then what parts are going to be kind of customer requests that come in day to day, and of course then what's going to be spent on maintenance and things like tech debt. And really all of this is so we can focus on the greater sum of our customers and not just a singular individual. Now, when all this is done, you hopefully will be able to create a value metric that is really simple for your customers to understand. Every amazing PLG SaaS company has a value metric that's dead simple, whether that's per user or via usage or maybe just sophistication of what the customer's needs are. The key piece is it's important for you and your business to try things out. In fact, I've had success by actually mixing these two things, which most articles online will tell you never to do, but yet we found a lot of value in doing exactly that. So test it yourself. And once you do find a value metric that makes a lot of sense, build a monetization team around it. It's very critical. Most companies get to this way too late to focus on expansion. Of course, we care about the top of the funnel, but we care about retaining and expanding as well. And what I also find is when you build that monetization team, if you're a SaaS business, most of it will be spent on billing system issues and billing requests. So separate that team as well because you want to focus on monetization. So number 3, get serious with data. Sounds really simple again, but unfortunately for a lot of product managers, a lot of orgs, I know we're at Pendomonium, but how many products companies and actual companies actually use something like Pendo or an equivalent? There's actually not that many, unfortunately, which is great for a company like Pendo because they're going to do well for themselves. But really another thing is how many companies are also embedding analysts, and whether it's product analysts or data scientists into their product teams, working alongside their product managers day to day. And really, on that note, how many PMs are actually going and talking to FP&A partners or finance teams and focusing on that data point? And so I think it's just important that we kind of rethink how we structure our teams and think about embedding at least an analyst to work right alongside our product managers to focus on complex problems, while the PM really gets the focus on using something like Pendo to do just their day-to-day work and obviously feature launches and things like that. So, number 4, over-invest in your product's hook. Now, there's a lot of different models of whatever the hook is, whether it's Nereal's hook model, or if we're using Reforge's, framework where they talk about the setup moment, the aha moment, and the habit moment. The big thing, whatever model you want to use, because there's a lot of them out there, all I care about is that we focus on the time to value for our customers, really that perception of value and then the value realization that they should get out of your product, and then obsess over that. That light bulb moment is so crucial, and it's always changing because our competitors are always changing. At HootSuite, we focus on the Reforge framework, and we love it. We have teams dedicated to the different moments that focus on the setup moment, on the aha moment, and the habit moment. And we know exactly what key product drivers are going to improve those different moments and actually how much revenue each percentage point change will make to it. But it's always changing. Sometimes it'll dip, it'll go up, depending on what features come out. If you do a new UX design, things can change. So it's always important to focus on this. And number 5, kind of more of a catch-all, focus on being product-led and not product management-led. And I know this might be controversial because I'm probably in a sea of product managers, but the whole idea here is that we get to play this awesome role as PMs, as we always have. Be the glue in the center of our organizations and really figure out what the end user experience is going to be for our customers. But now in a product-led organization, it's so important to even play that role more and exasperate that glue role. Be the person that's communicating left, right, and center almost 24/7, unfortunately. So that CS and marketing and sales all have an input into your product. But really, that's because product-led growth does take a village. It's not just a single department, not a single individual. Even if it's the founder that I'm talking about there, it's not. It takes a village. It takes the whole company. And it's really, really crucial that we focus on how we go about that, because I think we as PMs have to change a little bit of how we work. A lot of the, I'm going to call it ego, that we've built to how we work and how we have to own things so that we can make decisions, because that's what we had to do for the longest time to be able to succeed, is starting to now erode and change, which is good. And I think that's really, really important. One of the best advice I ever got that I'll pass on is really align yourself and collaborate with your customer leaders and your customer experience teams. Because if they can start to figure out how to not give solutions to problems, but if they can actually figure out and discover with you and then bring and drive that information to the product team, if a customer team can speak like a product team, you're going to get to that product vision a lot faster. So just a quick summary. There's a lot of info there. It's a lightning round of 15 minutes. So summary. Number 1, obviously, let's understand, or hopefully if you don't have one, create a product vision. Number 2, obviously, it's time that we really focus on not just selling and making sure that our product sells itself, but also expanding and being able to expand our product on itself too. And then get serious with data. Number 4, I love this one, overinvest in your hook or that time to value and that light bulb moment. And number 5, try to be as product-led as possible, letting go a little bit about that product management-led that we've been for a long time. Thanks very much. Just a couple of resources. I talked about Reforge here. And also, we're at Pendomonium, so I have to call out Todd's book, Product-Led Organization. If you haven't read it, it's great. My boss and I, we love the book, and we've used a lot of it at HootSuite. And of course, any questions, feel free to post here. You can also, chat with me. I'll be around. I'm thankfully, I think, in the only flamingo shirt here. So cheers. Thank you.